Hello and welcome back to the season of 12 Colors, a very light little visual novel. In the last episode we went through the prologue and chapters 1 to 3. So let's continue with chapter 4. So tired. Deprived of sleep, I was made to play with the girl for a long morning. After lunch I threw myself onto the bed, practically falling to pieces. That's how you end up after playing with little kids. Kids are always trouble, no matter if this one or that. Something emerged. It quickly faded away into the darkness of sleep. Oh. I had a wonderful rest. Wondering what time it was. It's already past 4. Uncle was sitting at the doorstep shaving bamboo strips. He answered my question. I didn't want to wake you. You slept so soundly, he added. So it's 4. Wait, how could I have slept away so many hours with just a nap? I had promised Jasmine that I would visit in the afternoon. Now I was bound to be late. I jumped out of bed and stepped into my sandals hastily. What's up? Unhurried, Uncle asked from behind me. Oh, just an appointment with a friend. I put on a t-shirt and ran away into the garden. So you're starting to make friends around here? Was he making fun of me? In between the sounds of shaving bamboo, his carefree voice came through. Oh, it's just one kid. A girl about the same age as me. The noise stopped. I will be back soon. I eased the garden gate closed and dashed off. He seemed to have said something after that, but I couldn't hear it clearly and quickly dismissed it. I ran into the woods. Noon had long passed, yet the heat was still present. I was starting to sweat from running. Strange. Had I lost my way? It felt like something was a little different from yesterday. There came through the trees a sound of kids play fighting, and someone soft in a soft, low voice. Duh. I pulled away the branches. The same old clearing was still there. The little old woodhouse stood intact. The kids were new. There were a bunch of them, running after each other on the meadow and throwing things around. And Jasmine, she huddled up by herself crying. Hey, what are you kids doing here? I stepped forward, fist clenched. In an instant, the troublemakers fled away into different directions. For half a second, I couldn't decide which one to chase. At last, I managed to catch one of them. The kid's feet were slow, and he fell flat when he tried to run away. Keep it. I picked up the straw hat from the ground and put it back on Jasmine's head. Hey, what's there to cry? How could you get bullied by these little kids? They're so much younger than you. I'm sorry. Still sobbing, Jasmine held the hat from falling with one hand. Her other hand was busy wiping away her tears. That's why you're an idiot. You're sorry? You shouldn't be sorry. The kids should be sorry. I let go of my clench around the fist's back collar and shoved him in front of her. Apologize. I made the scariest face possible with my hand firmly on the kid's head. I'm so sorry. Not loud enough. Say I'm really sorry. I'm really, really sorry. The kid, muttered all over his body, had no choice but to lower his head. Of course, I was forcing him to do it. It's okay. Tracks of tears were still visible along Jasmine's cheeks. You don't have to do this. She took out her handkerchief and wiped the kid's face. Come on, you were just bullied. I didn't expect you to be angry, but at least don't be so kind. Now I was in an awkward position to play hero. But Jasmine stole glances at me guiltily. He's hurt. She cleaned away the blood from the scratches on his knees. Whatever you want. Oh, please hold on. For a moment, she seemed to suddenly remember something and clapped her hands. There's a bandage in the house. I'll go fetch it. She quickly stood up and ran into the house. And fell flat. We stared at her tripping over herself. After all the fuss, we came to the final conclusion of this case. Since the victim did not wish to pursue it any further, you could say the whole thing was settled out of court. By the way, the bandages did come in handy. We put a piece on the kid's leg, and 3 in total for Jasmine's arms and knees. She really is an idiot. So was I, though. Hey, get up! Her soft voice was as persistent as mosquitoes. Go away already, I'm tired. It's mysterious, though, how I got to know someone who would bury themselves in a mountain of books. Let's not even start talking about tripping over oneself and getting bullied by kids much, much younger. But I have apologized. No, that wasn't you, stupid. That was me. Pulling grass off the ground, I kicked myself mentally for not coming earlier. For some reason though, I felt like this had happened before. Couldn't remember. Something vital was missing, and then... There was a rustle. It was her dress rubbing against the blades of grass. Jasmine sat down beside me. Hey. Her voice was as soft as a spring breeze. Now this is not something to brag about, but the breeze brought with it its scent of wildflowers and grass. But I just want to let you know. Jasmine lifted her head. I was so happy when I saw you. She wasn't looking at me. She was looking at something in the distance, even further than the dome of the sky wrapped in the treetops, talking to herself. Just like in the fairy tales, you know, the prince comes to the princess' rescue. She turned to me. Her smile was bright, almost dazzling. I knocked her forehead lightly with my knuckles. Come on, had you ever seen a prince like this before? I tried to dismiss it with self-mockery. She shrugged and smiled, her eyes narrowing. You're right. Hand on her chin, Jasmine thought about it for a while. Because you're Mr. Rabbit. Mr. Rabbit who? I would have knocked you a lot more if it wasn't that much trouble to get up. But for today, I guess it's not too bad to play Mr. Rabbit once in a while. Hey, let's make paper planes, shall we, Mr. Rabbit? Swinging her feet back and forth, she kicked off her sandals. Among the grass was the girl's slim ankles and making shuffling sounds. Too bad I'm so tired today, Your Highness. I turned over, trying to cover up my quickened heartbeat. But you're so young. Where's the spirit? And she's the one who said that. She looked a lot younger than her age, and yet she was starting to sound like an old person already. Talking about age, for some reason Jasmine seemed different from my memories. She had left a more sensible and mature impression a few years ago. Breaking through the forest, the rays of the setting sun sparkled for a moment. Jasmine's cheeks glowed with a faint blush. What had this girl been like before? Hey! Still sitting, Jasmine threw a newly made paper plane. You do like paper planes, don't you? Yes, I like them a lot. She smiled, still blushing a little. Someone taught me how. Someone I really, really like. Someone you really liked, huh? Your dad or mum? Or nothing to do with me either way? Nope. With a brisk smile on her face, Jasmine turned to me. I only had one friend, ever. Wide-brimmed straw hat, pure white dress. She looked down at me. Her face was reddened by the sunset's glow. The girl named Jasmine. It's Mr. Rabbit. The mischievous look on her face, her silvery laughter echoed throughout the meadow. After dinner, Uncle stopped me when I was about to leave. He wanted to talk about what happened today. Today? I didn't recall anything special. Maybe I shouldn't have threatened those kids. Well, I admitted it was childish of me. Those were 7, 8-year-olds, and I must have been like a giant to them, but they were not without their fault either. That's not what you wanted to talk about? Uncle was sitting across the table. He had an extremely serious look on his face. I couldn't help but sit up straight. After a long pause, he finally spoke. Do you remember your little cousin? Tangerine. Do you remember what happened to her? I did. Or I should say, I should have remembered, but for some unknown reason it escaped me for this long. What happened that summer? 3 years ago, I was still in primary school. I came to Uncle's house for summer vacation. Without anyone to play with who was my age, only a little girl followed me around everywhere. She was my uncle's daughter, my little cousin, 6 years younger than I was. A chit of a girl whose hair was not quite black enough. Everybody called her Tangerine. She was a troublemaker at heart, and what's worse, Tangerine just couldn't stand being alone. She used to follow her mom around all the time. With my arrival, she simply wouldn't leave me alone. In short, she had caused me trouble in every way possible. But had I not brought her along that day, would things be different? Fists banged on the fence. Hey! From the other side of the fence, I heard someone calling in a suppressed voice. I looked up. It was the kid I caught earlier today, but Jasmine let him go. Heyo. He tiptoed around. Hi, could you tell me about that girl? Is she still angry at us? He was speaking in a hushed voice, though afraid of being caught. That girl? Of course he meant Jasmine. About Jasmine. In my mind's eye, for one flashing instant, I saw her figure cleanly. My heart throbbed. About her, Jasmine was... I bit my lip hard. Hey! When I didn't answer, the little kid tried to lean in closer. If she's still angry, please tell her that we are really sorry, would you? The words didn't register for a while. Or perhaps my mind was just elsewhere. Apologize? Yes, because we can't go there anymore. There was a reason. Everyone got scolded harshly. A reason why nobody was allowed to go there. When you see her tomorrow, would you bring her this for me? Through the fence, he handed me a paper plane made from notebook paper. I picked it up, but I forgot to give it back to her, the kid muttered, scratching his head. Please bring this to her and tell her that we are all really sorry for what we did. Thank you. From afar, the sound of adults could be heard. The little boy ran away in a hurry. It rained. I stood for a long time in the rain before I was aware of it. Even the weather was the same as that day. It was my aunt who pulled me back into the house. She helped me to dry my hair and scolded me. Tangerine was nowhere to be found. Don't go there anymore. This warning from my aunt was all I had remembered. It's a promise, right? The girl in the white dress said. In my dream, the sky had been filled with sunlight, so bright it hurt my eyes. But there had been sounds of rain, the voice of a girl, words of promise to come again. She called me, treated me like her own big brother, followed me around, and... In the darkness of the night, I sneezed and woke myself up. My head felt hot and my mind was spinning, and I caught a fever. Achoo! Hopefully it would get better with a good night's sleep. Sunbeams woke me up in the early morning. Fortunately, I was up a bit earlier than the little girl. Normally the girl would just jump onto my sheets without warning and scare me awake. I felt grateful this time. The little girl tiptoed around and almost reached me. Wah! I jumped up without warning. She fell to the floor and giggled. Get up already, you little orange girl. I'm not orange, she protested and clung to me. My little 6-year-old cousin. Hey, where will we go today? What will we play? She skipped around me and somehow made sure to be in my way all the time. Let's go into the woods on an adventure. How about that? I wanted to scare her off. After all, I was about to enter junior high, much too mature to play with this little kid. Take me! Okay, that failed. I threatened her with rumors of tigers, bears, and wild boars. The girl was full of tears, but still I couldn't even peel her off my back. In the end, I had to take her. I talked as if it would be a great adventure, but really there was nothing. It only took me 3 days to go around and get familiar with the woods. In summary, there were trees, and then some more trees. A tractor was parked over there around the hillside, nothing else. And yet, on that miraculous day, a whole new world had been discovered. As we climbed the hillside and had almost arrived at the hilltop, among the thick growth there was a wide clearing. Surrounded by treetops, high above was a patch of blue sky covering us like a dome. Soft grass covered the ground, decorated by colorful wild flowers. And in the middle of this, just like in the fairy tales, a small house stood quietly. And there was more. It had been a knock that woke me up. I skipped breakfast. Aunt made congee for me specially. I felt sorry for this. It was all my fault. That was when we met her, the girl with the wide-brimmed straw hat in a white dress. About the same age as me. Her name was Jasmine. She had remained unchanged since then. No, she seemed even more mature at the time. Not as much of a kid as now. My fingertips touched something. It had been in the pocket of my jeans all this time. A piece of paper. Oh, it was the paper plane. The kid gave it to me yesterday. On the notebook paper there were words written, a child's handwriting. Daddy told me, star is like a straight line, it only goes away. But occasionally there had star exceptions. Star lines could cling star, star, star. When star, star, in different star, 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 in a short period it was possible to... The paper was somewhat smeared by rain. Words were missing, only leaving faintly yellow touches. I put down the piece of paper and laid back. If only I could ask. If only I could directly ask the person who wrote it. But that would not be possible. I could not go there anymore myself. The reason? Yesterday Uncle told me to stay away from the place. I rejected fiercely. The reason? I had known all along. Of course, it was my fault. I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have brought Tangerine. Jasmine was a nice girl. She had been so sweet and kind. Treated us as though we were her own little brother and sister. We were only a little younger than she was, though. Jasmine liked to watch us play. We asked her to join in a few times. She always smiled and shook her head. Why? Jasmine said that she was a big girl and she had grown out of children's games. That was a lie. She was not that much bigger than we were. But she really was like an older sister or even a mother. Smiling gently and watching over us, she encouraged us, applauded for us, and she laughed with us when something funny happened. Despite all this, she never joined us. There was only one exception. It was when she taught us to make paper planes. A piece of rectangular notebook paper, folded once in half. Carefully she had then folded the edges down twice, its wings spread out. A beautiful paper plane was born. I had to admit defeat. I thought I made it pretty decent paper planes, but compared with Jasmine's, they had not been nothing. She folded the best paper planes in the swiftest way. They always looked good and flew far. Could it possibly fly into the sky, just like a real plane? Like always, Jasmine just smiled and shook her head quietly. The afternoon had been sultry. I tossed about, trying to get some sleep. The piece of paper came into my sight once again. If the star goes backwards, star could reverse and touch star. The concussion star overlapping star are closed zone. I didn't think anyone could make sense of this. I read the last line. Although star not yet star understood, but Daddy told me it's good to know star. Daddy will definitely succeed. With the terrible handwriting, it had been the only sentence readable. Who wrote it? When? The letters were written so clumsily. It reminded me of... Hey, teach me this! Please, do your own homework. So we live in an age where even kindergarten children had homework to do during the summer vacation. And seriously, shouldn't this be taught in primary school? Teach me! Clutching my sleeves, Tangerine clung onto me. All right, I took the notebook. It had doodles all over it. Wow, I'd never seen such poor handwriting. I muttered complaints about it when I was helping her with her homework. Hey, that's why I got you to help, right? I don't know what there is to brag about. Just for once, it'd be acceptable. After all, we had promised Jasmine we would go play with her after Tangerine finished her homework. I didn't want to keep her waiting. I speeded up. In the afternoon, rain fell on and off. The heat had gone away a little, but I still couldn't sleep. Yes, the same weather as that day. Wow! The little girl was so scared that she had jumped all around and plunged herself in my direction. Hey, would you stop clinging to me already? I couldn't walk. The weather had not been kind to us. Fat raindrops had started to fall without warning. Oh, hell. It no longer looked like a good day for a hill climbing. I ran towards the direction of home, dragging the little orange girl with me. What about Jasmine? The little girl's cry was muffled by the sounds of the rain. I pulled my shirt over her head to protect her from the rain. We ran. There had been only one thing on my mind. I needed to get her home, fast. Of course, I ended up with a bad cold. Fits of non-stop sneezing. My head felt heavy with dizziness, but what hurt my pride even more? Little Tangerine was perfectly healthy as always. Was it because she was so young? Or could it be that she was brought up in the countryside? Either way, she told everybody the same thing. My big brother protected me. Well, to be honest, I was more than a little happy. But would you give up tending to me already? I'd appreciate it if you could simply let your mom do it. You said Jasmine? Sure, we can go say sorry to her tomorrow. After all, it was not our fault that it rained. Choo! The umbrella. What umbrella? Wasn't it over there behind the door? Jasmine, what about her? Well, did she have an umbrella? Perhaps? No? Hey, listen, don't just run away like that. And it was a sunscreen umbrella. The girl never listened. What happened after that, I could not recall. Or perhaps I just refused to. I ran after her in the rain. It got me a bad fever. Had to be escorted to the hospital in town. Took injections and drip feeding. The whole thing had been quite overly dramatic. Could have killed me, it seemed. Me, I didn't remember a thing, because when I woke up, it was already a few days later. The pain lived on in my chest. There was nothing I could do. If I could have done anything at all. I stared at my palm. Tinted with blue ink, there was a word. It was rain-smeared paper that had left the letters on my palm. The color was faint, barely readable. I made it out at last. Time. Time. Stars are like a straight line. It only goes one way. The line of time. Linear time. Comparable to strings from a winder. It only stretches into one direction. It will not go backwards. It will never stop to wait. However, would there be an exception? Timelines could cling, for instance, caused by some kind of disturbance, the line bended. When stars are in a different sort period, it was possible to... It went backward, extended into where the past had been, and brushed past it. Everything bursted out. All the memories, all the fragments came together. Slowly, they started to combine into one. Time is like a straight line. It only goes one way, but occasionally there have been exceptions. Disturbed lines could cling to each other. When timelines in different directions start sinking in a short period, I braced myself up. My head was still burning, though it couldn't bother me less right now. The fragments were not enough, but there had been one explanation. One possibility. I ran out of the door. The rain-washed street extended before me. The grass blades still had raindrops on them. I climbed the well-acquainted hills. It was not far away. Yes, time would never go backwards. Even at this moment, I refused to believe anything like that. That was clearly nonsense. It was only something made up by my feverish head for some incomplete message on a paper plane. It was absurd. But I saw it. The pathway became entirely different. Not compared with the past, different from what I had seen these last few days. I saw it with my own eyes. It had not been a mirage or an illusion. It just appeared these last few days. It had never belonged there. It did not belong to this time. The time where the girl named Jasmine lived. If only I could find it. Starting from the future and going into the past, she would arrive to what had already happened. If that was possible for me as well. The little girl named Tangerine, her figure jumped around in the back of my mind. The girl ran, the image of an orange-colored umbrella, lost in the rain. If only I could change that. Surrounded by the growth of the trees on all sides, I was lost. What I saw yesterday, the different scenery, it was gone without a trace. I looked around. As far as I could see, it had been the same old view. My head burned. All my strength had left me. I had to lean on a wet tree trunk. Was I not allowed to find it anymore? The place where Jasmine lived? A touch of white flashed in the corner of my eye. That it was. I believed I had found it. Surrounded by the woods, there appeared a small clearing, only big enough to contain a single wood house. Hello. She stood in the middle of the clearing. Nice to see you again. The girl in the white dress, with a smile on her face, she waved at me. Hey, it's been such a long time. She was smiling quietly, but somehow the smile looked a bit sad. For a moment, I was lost for words. The sunset had colored her cheeks. I had never seen such a look like this. Hey. What could I ask for? What could I say? Was there anything at all I could do to... I know it all. With a warm smile, just like the golden sunset, Jasmine said softly. The future, or should I say the past, I know it all, and... I know about her. I know about the child, everything. Her look was that of a mother, gentle, forgiving. There's nothing to worry about. Everything is going to be all right. Her smile soothed me, just like it did then. All this time, all this disorientation and confusion was beginning to calm down. I started to realize what I wanted to say, that it was not enough. Yes, I wanted to help the child, to do something to the past, yet that was still not enough. I hoped the child would be all right, and Jasmine told me what she knew. Everything would be all right. That was what had already happened. That was the past to her. I had the answer I wanted all along. Yet still I was not relieved. There was something. And what about you? Raising my left hand. Once in a while you should think about yourself. I knocked her with my knuckles on the forehead lightly. I didn't contact anything though. It was like knocking on air. Nothing. Oh, and... As if she didn't hear me. Please fight on, Mr. Rabbit. Despite everything, she went on. You will grow into a wonderful person, I'm sure of that. Her brightest smile, like a blessing. Hey, would you listen to me for once? I had no other choice but to accept, smiling a bitter smile. One last thing. Her profile was starting to fade out. Her voice trailed away. If you ever get to meet me from yesterday... The words were a mere whisper, but I had heard it clearly enough. And then night had fallen. In the forest I stood all by myself. The dome-like sky, the wooden house, the clearing filled with the scent of the wildflowers and grass. All those were gone. Nothing but the forest remained, like it had always been. Oh, I did remember. I would remember. If I ever saw her again. Please smile and say hello for me. Ooh, end of the main story. Oh. Well, it seems that there is room for 2 smaller stories in here. We will take that in another episode. So until then, take care.